Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Doctor's Inn. Your prescription today is the world's first superhero story. And they've been going around for a long time. And that is none other than the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, this is thought to be a story from about 2700 BC. That was a long time ago, if you're not familiar with that. So only like 4,700 years ago. Long time. So if you haven't heard of this, it's a fun book. I like teaching it at the beginning of ancient history because it's the world's first superhero. I like to teach this one and have my class read Genesis and Exodus. This book, along with the Code of Hammurabi, which I'll cover at a later time probably. But Gilgamesh, mythologically, founded the city of Uruk, which would have been the capital of the people of Ur. So early Saudi Arabia would be that time. In the Fertile Crescent, right down between the rivers Euphrates and Tigris. So this story is about him and actually going from his creation to fall and what is required of him. And there are some parts in here that I really, really enjoy. Actually, I named my youngest son after a description from this. And it's just a good old Rick rollicking time. So Gilgamesh is thought to be a giant of a man that could be withstood by no other. And so much so that, let's see, it would have been the gods or the people. It actually doesn't say which one is saying this. But the gods created Gilgamesh, and someone cries out, "You've made him like this, give another to be his complement." They say, "Create his double and let the two contend. Let stormy heart contend with stormy heart, that peace may come to Uruk once again." Because Gilgamesh was basically causing havoc wherever he went. There said, there was no withstanding the desire of the wild ox. Which, when I read that description, I actually really liked that. And so I named my youngest son Clive Oxley, and we call him Ox after this. So fun times there. Ironically, he tends to ram his head into things. He likes, we do a high five, fist bump, and headbutt. And he will go up and ram his head into the wall or the floor and think it's hilarious. So weirdly, he is more like an ox than I thought he would be, but hey, that's what I get for naming him Ox. But in this creation, Gilgamesh gets his friend Enkidu, or as my students like to say, Enkidu, or Enkidu, as I like to pronounce it, Enkidu, who was also a wild man, a man of the earth, of divine spittle, who had hair like the pieces of grain, wheat in the field. And Enkidu was so wild as well that he actually needed a woman to tame him. So when he first was born, he was wild out in the wilderness, and they then sent a woman out to him to tame his heart, to allow him to actually stand up against Gilgamesh. And then they actually fought. They fought, and they ended up being equals. I think Gilgamesh came out a little bit ahead, beat him in submission, and through that they became best friends, which is actually what men often do. Sometimes it is best for men just to slug it out and to see who ends up where and go forth as friends from there. So men don't need to talk it out, they often need to slug it out. And Kaidu actually did need a woman to tame him, as a lot of men do. Women have a vital role in society that a man, George Gilder, also realized in his book Men and Marriage. Another fantastic book about marriage that I'll probably review at a later time. Because men need things to tether them, to keep them in place, which Enkidu needed. But this book is fun. It's an early mythology of the Uruk people. And so yeah, it's all about Gilgamesh finding the fruit of immortality, which I think is the tree of life from Genesis, which is why I had my students read that. More than likely, he was alive during the time of Moses. There are many people who think he was actually, he could be the man Nimrod, the mighty hunter, from just after the time of the flood, because in this book he does actually meet the survivor of the Great Flood. Calls him by a different name, but probably wasn't Noah. And all that happening then. So alive during the time of Noah, probably. But yeah, early civilization, early people, and reading this along with Genesis is actually really helpful because you see the primitive, how man was primitive. The early beginnings of man, but at the same time, man is not so different from what it is today, which I think is very important to see. Also, there is no gospel. Jesus has not come yet. And so what do men idolize at this time? And how do men become like what they idolize is another key question to discuss while reading this book. So yeah, looking at the early myth. And it is just a lot of fun. It is, there's some crassness to it. I mean, it's an early mythology. So men are more primitive, more barbaric at the time, which I think would have been how Genesis was. Up until even the time of Abraham. This is the culture that Abraham was coming out of. Abraham was from Ur, which would be the people of Uruk. So this is his people, his culture, his divinity. So Enlil was the god of the time, the god of the wind, which is in here, which is where the Jewish people got the term Elohim, which is the god of gods. El became the general term for God. El is the god of wind to the Ur people. So Elohim is the god of all gods, which I believe is also where I'm guessing Lewis got his term Elendil in the Ransom trilogy, is playing off this book too. So deep history through here, deep mythology, good discussions, looking at the primitiveness of man, but also where we come from. Comparing it to Genesis and what our ancestors would be from there. So yeah, it is an early superhero story. Gilgamesh is larger than life. He is a man that few could contend with, and so he contended with the gods. But it is really good to filter through what is good, true, and beautiful in this book, because Gilgamesh was the strongest, and him and Enkidu are going on this mission. And Enkidu is the first to go into the Forbidden Forest. Because he knows the way, but also because Gilgamesh needs to be protected. And so the weaker leads the way. And like, why is that? Is that a good thing? Should that be the way that men should act? Or should the man, the leader, the most powerful lead the way to possibly their own demise? That is something to talk through. Gilgamesh didn't do that. Does that make him less of a hero? Should Gilgamesh even be a hero? Maybe, probably not. But these are early superhero stories, and where we get a lot of our superhero stories today is people who are larger than life. And we really do need to think about who we idolize, who do we hold up, because you do become like what you worship. So if you worship the air, if you worship a beast, you become more beast-like or more flighty. If you worship superheroes, well, they may be all powerful or just powerful, but they're also all flawed. I mean, even Captain America, being America first, there are problems with that we're seeing today. I mean, people are calling Trump a Nazi for being America first, but then if you say that, you would also have to call Captain America a Nazi who he was fighting the Nazis. So I mean, it kind of just spins out of control from there for being America first. And yes, I realize you're pulling at different things when you say Trump's a Nazi. I understand that, but to be logically consistent, just to be America first doesn't make you a fascist. To be nationalistic does not make you a fascist. There are different things involved here. But read your histories. Know where stories come from in order to know where you're going. This would be my recommendation for you today because it is actually a lot of fun. It's fascinating. Read it along with Genesis and compare the two. This is a great story to get people reading old epics. So the epic hero, this is where it starts from. The hero must go down or go up and come back. They must solve their fatal flaw. What is the fatal flaw of Gilgamesh? Talk about these things, but look at how we have come as a society. We are not a society like Gilgamesh anymore, praise God. But where have we come from? This is a good example of that. So with that, that's your prescription for today. Go enjoy this book. It is a lot of fun. Enjoy it. If you like Gilgamesh, give me a like. Tell me your favorite thing about the Epic of Gilgamesh in the comments below. If you're having someone go through this, share this video with them. And if you want to know when my next video comes out, please subscribe. And with all that said, with that, the doctor is out.